And it gives me great pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker.
It does?
It does, it absolutely does. Christian Borup. You probably all know his work, you really need no introduction, but he's going to get one. Christian's been an astrologer, professional astrologer, for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
Yes. He lectures, teaches, writes, international astrologer. And anybody who's had the pleasure, as I have, I'm sure you have too, of hearing him speak before, his work is full of wisdom, full of compassion, full of insight, full of wit, and certainly full of humour. And as you can see, the title of his talk tonight is Astrology by Numbers. So please give a very, very warm welcome to Christian.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm Danish, and Danish are perfect in saying thank you in a lot of different ways. So thank you again. I'm going to do a very light lecture tonight because I thought, most of you have been working all day listening to things and you're probably dead tired of astrology as it is. So I'm just going to do a very simple thing, and I'm going to talk about something that is important, something that I've learned in my 30 years of practice as an astrologer, all the people I have had and talked to, all the insights I have gained by talking to clients and being with people. And this is the gist of it. This is what I've learned in 30 years of doing astrology. What is the most important tool in dealing with people? I ask you. Compassion. No, the most important thing is a novile. If you don't know, the novile aspect is an extremely important aspect. You can't do a chart without doing a novile aspect. It's a ninth harmonic. Look at the Vedic people. This is the ninth, this is the Navamsha chart. How can you do anything without doing the ninth harmonic? And especially because the trine novile, the 120 degrees, is the same as a trine. So it's an extremely important aspect. It's the next aspect in the series, the 160 degrees, which is an extremely important aspect, which totally explains everything in your life. If you don't do it, you're FUCK'd. There's more.
Okay, sorry.
Beginning to look like something. Because the novile is the only, Michel Gauquelin tried to prove astrology, but the only aspect that has actually resulted in results is, and it's been published in the North Belgian Astrology Review in March 2006, where the conclusion was, with a significance level of 98.5, which is, fantastic, phenomenal, whatever. And it's been proven there's a link between novile aspects and toenail fungus in Tour de France winners. So you can't do a chart without doing the novile. So when I do charts, half of it is missing. As you can see, I like to keep things simple. Because if things are not simple, they are complicated. So when I do clients, of course, I work in a true scientific manner, which is, I have the glasses to do that. I've got my nerd glasses on, so. As you can see, there's a lot of interesting things here, but most importantly, of course, again, the novile aspect. This is a chart of a client I had recently. And of course, what is very interesting and what immediately springs to mind is this empty space up here. And as you can see, it's the 9th house. So here is a person who's, this is the first incarnation of this person. There's no previous incarnations here. And that person is probably, as you can see from here, here, and here, is probably a little bit introverted. Because there's a lot of aspects missing. Astrology is wonderful, isn't it? So I think it's time to rewind. Because my story, my personal story, I'm a Virgo. There's nothing I can do about that. I never ever lost my virginity. And so I'm as innocent as it gets. And so as a Virgo, you always start with, making things complex. And a lot of people will tell you, just like the guy who was just here, who wasn't me, telling you that you have to do this. And most people, when they start studying astrology, they think when they make a mistake in the judgment or the interpretation of a chart, it's because they're not using the right system. It's probably because you're not using the topocentric house system, or you're not using regressed solar returns. Of course, move with the precession so that everything fits. And so as a Virgo, I've been through all this. I started out with extremely complex things, and it's taken me 30 plus years to get to the simple. And today, what I'm actually going to talk about is people watching. But I'll come back to that. So somebody once said, I can't remember who, maybe it was even Lily, I'm not sure. It says, in the beginning, astrology is kind. Meaning, in the beginning, everything fits. Every chart you get, Mars in the 3rd house, you have a very loud speaking person who is always very argumentative and whatever, and you have lots of charts, and you have 3 charts, you have 4 charts, and then you meet a deaf mute with Mars in the 3rd. This is why astrology and statistics always FUCK's up. Right? Because this is plastic. It deals with people. It deals with spirit and soul, and doesn't necessarily deal with the practicalities of what is which. It doesn't matter that much what you do. Branka Stamenkovic and I will be doing a jousting session tomorrow where we will fight, or joust at least, as a psychological astrologer, which Branka considers me to be, and a traditional astrologer with the different viewpoints, and we always end up with the same result, no matter what we do. So, to me, there are 2 kinds of astrologers. There's the scientific ones who do this, and there's the more intuitive, artsy ones who do this. Ask yourselves, where do you belong? So it's not all in the system or the theories or whatever it is you do. It's what is most important. Because every time you do a chart, your own chart interacts with that chart. It's a classical, the physics thing about whoever is doing the experiment somehow has an influence of how that experiment works. So you are an extremely important person in this. And today's lecture was just going to be about how important it is that all of you think about what it is you actually do when you interpret a chart, and how much of yourself you're actually using without knowing it. And most importantly, make it conscious and use it consciously. And your astrology will become alive, I hope. Because the life you have led is always part of the interpretations you do. But sometimes you can use yourself, you can use your life, and it becomes magical. And it lifts and becomes something more because you're sharing something with that person. So, and the more you can make that happen, the better, I think. So the most important tools for doing astrology is this. I've been teaching astrology for so many years, and some students would say, write about a client or whatever and say, you should start learning how to dance and fulfilling your dream of becoming a ballet dancer. And of course, the client would maybe say, that's a very good idea. The problem is I'm 85. Simple things like that. Look at people and listen to what it is they're saying. You can say a lot about people just by looking at how they're sitting, how much space they take up, what they're doing. I mean, you can do people just by looking at them. And don't think about the chart. Just think that astrology as such is a great system for sorting out all the perceptions you get from other people. Forget all about the chart in the beginning. I'll show you an example later. And then, of course, talk. Ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions. In the beginning, when you start astrology, you think you're supposed to know everything. Whether the person has a dog or a cat, lives in a house or in a flat or whatever. Ask. You don't have to be something. Sometimes when I'm in a really irritable mood, I always say, people only go to astrologers in the Western countries because nobody has friends anymore. And there's a semi-truth in that. A lot of people really just need to have an objective person that tells them what's wrong with them. Somebody they can trust. And not a psychologist who says, when you say this, what do you mean by that? They need somebody who really gets up there and says, the way you're handling your spouse is horrible. Look at the way that Mars Saturn in the 7th is whatever. So, and most importantly, you have a brain, and the brain is an area of research at the moment that is so extremely interesting, because nobody knows what the hell is going on in there. And the brain adds and does things to whatever it is you see that is so much connected to who you are, what your chart is, and kind of gives you glasses, like your chart is always in front of you. So for me, astrology or dealing with the chart is we have a lot of intuition that somehow that's just there because we're people and we know some things. But it's very fuzzy and it's not clear what exactly it is, but the chart makes it clear. So let the intuition roll, just get free and paint, for Christ's sake. Michelangelo, paint. And once you finish the picture, throw away the stuff that you don't like, and the chart will tell you what to throw away. which intuitions are not right and which intuitions are right. So another provocative thought is the fact that astrology does not work. It has never worked. I'm serious. I'm really serious, actually. But what astrology does, it makes astrologers work. This is a huge distinction. Meaning sometimes all these fight about, what was it, Toronto, Canada in 1963 or whatever, the big fight about house systems that ended up with astrologers beating up each other because they couldn't agree on which house system was the right one to use. Those kind of things. It's ridiculous. Because maybe each astrologer is seeing one little part of the pattern of the big carpet and trying to extrapolate from that little area what is going on and gets to some form of truth. But I mean, we're not gods. I can't see beyond my chart, and neither can you. We can try, and we can learn and whatever, but we're never going to transgress what we are. There's always going to be limits. I always wanted to be a woman, but I never succeeded. So the great thing is that astrology is basically a mindset for sorting signs, meaning signs that you see from other people, information that you get from other people, or just information you get generally. And that is, never mind what the chart looked like. When you have a client or dealing with a chart, look at the person first. Try to forget about the chart. Look at the person, see what that person is. Is that person wearing red? Is that person wearing yellow? Is that person wearing glasses? Is that a masculine person, feminine person? What kind of energy is there? And you already know huge amounts of stuff if you know your astrology, because you know where to put it. I'll show you hopefully in a moment. Because psychologists always say about astrologers, you are just doing cold readings. So are psychics and clairvoyants and whatever. You're just looking at people and you're doing cold readings. Meaning you look at them and you say, you are this, you happened this, you are this and this. And yes, and we should. Why leave it out? It's huge informations that we get. So looking at people to me is a very important thing, because everything is a sign. You enter somebody's house, there are no bookshelves. What does that tell you? A lot. Somebody gets out of his or her car. What kind of car is it? Know your demographics. I mean, all the commercial people, and they know. If you drive a Citroën, you're that kind of person, you probably live there. Check out your client's address. Which part of town does that person come from? What is the demographics of that town? Use it. Why be stupid? Just because we're astrologers, we don't have to be stupid. So use what you already have, meaning yourself. Use what you already know, meaning whatever life has taught you. And most importantly, steal. Any information the client gives you is an information. I have my consultation table. I hang my leather jacket, my old trusted friend, on my stool. Here's the client's stool. I have a glass table so I can see what their feet are doing. Of course, it's important. When you're getting to the point and everybody's going, there's something going on, you need to follow that trail. And then the client comes in, sits in my chair. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about me if I get pissed off about that? so that kind of thing. Look, everything is something. So everything can be interpreted. Can I talk about you for a moment?
Yeah.
You're lying there like a true Roman. I don't know if you can see her. You know, of course you're tired and you've probably been sitting all day and whatever, but that means that you're probably a very relaxed person and you like to take your time in life about enjoying things.
Yes.
Yeah. And probably have some artistic endeavor that you like to do on a daily basis.
Maybe astrology.
Yeah, maybe. You moved your feet. That kind of thing. It's something you need, you know, but you can train it and just, you don't have to go to courses, whatever, to do it. Just, you have the chart to guide you what is going on. And you can learn a lot by just watching people. So everything can be interpreted, and everything should be interpreted, because we do it anyway, without knowing it. Instantly when we meet another person, it takes about 0.3 seconds before we already know what we think about that person. It's so instantaneous that most people don't think about it. Make it conscious. And use astrology to make it conscious. And your chart interpretation will thrive from it. Brain, great thing. Brain is always looking for meaning, even if there isn't any. The meaning of life. So, can I use your yellow shirt? It lights up the place. So, do you have many yellow shirts?
This time, yeah.
What?
Well, 4 of them.
Okay. And it's a recent thing.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It goes back colours specific.
Okay.
Sometimes the
It shows a need to be alive. And I think something must have happened in your life within, let's say, the last 2 years or something, where you said, this is what I want to do. I am tired of being boxed in by the things that I have, so probably you changed your life situation, you moved somewhere else or whatever. Changed the way you redecorated your house, and you followed your instincts and follow your interests. Am I right? Yeah. Why? Because it's yellow. And in my mind, chart or no chart, I don't know the guy. Chart or no chart, yellow to me says Gemini. You know, need for change. A huge need to have new information, to experience new things. And so I think you have a lot of things going on at the same time, a lot of new interests that have suddenly blossomed. And looking at, can I refer to your age? Okay. Because I would say probably you have finished a very successful life as a working life, and you have somehow postponed all those things from your youth that you wanted to do, and now you're taking them up again. That's what this yellow shirt shows me. Who needs a chart? Who needs a mobile? So I'm just skipping this very quickly. We're a bit of a problem. But you know all this. I mean, you don't have to, it doesn't matter once you get this idea. If I look at that gentleman's chart, I probably won't find any Gemini at all. But I don't give a damn. Because it has to do with, this is the interaction we have, this is the ideas I get, and I get a yes from him, so I'm on the right track. So when I look at the chart, I have to incorporate that somehow in the work that we're going to do together, if we're going to do any work together. But I think you are a man who knows what he wants. And you've probably been, what's it called, a leader or a self-employed person all your life. And now you have self-employed yourself. Does that make sense? See, I'm doing the clairvoyant bit, right? You know, like, but it's astrology.